Yes? Oh, there we go. Welcome to the Town of Wasaga Beach Town Hall. This is the fourth one we've hosted in just a little over a year. I'd say welcome on this wonderful evening, wonderful weather, but I think Mother Nature's having a little bit of a moment today. My name is Nicole Rubley. I'm the General Manager of Legislative and Development Services and your Municipal Clerk. This evening I'll be acting as your moderator for the Town Hall meeting. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. The Town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy and the Wyandot Nation. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water, and acknowledge that waterways were the lifeblood of the Indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and the waterways for future generations. So before I turn it over to the Mayor and the Chief Administrative Officer for a brief presentation, I just want to go over a few housekeeping. Those who have joined us before are well aware of these rules. First, we ask that you attend one of the microphones that will be located, or they are now, in each of the aisleways. Once you ask your question, the mics do deactivate to allow the panel to respond. And we ask that you keep it to one question just so that we can filter as many inquiries that we do have this evening. We ask that everyone be respectful, of course, when addressing the panel and with one another. Disrespectful dialogue will not be tolerated this evening. And town staff and council respect the opinions of all our residents and want to ensure that proper decorum is maintained to allow for meaningful and respectful dialogue. We'll take questions right till 9 p.m. this evening. And of course, if you have any follow-ups, please know that the CAO hosts open hours every Monday morning from 9 to 12. And our offices are always open Monday through Friday for any inquiries that you do have. Any questions with regards to any identifiable individuals or personal matters of your residents won't be discussed this evening. However, that's when we encourage you to reach out to the pertinent staff to address those for you. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mayor Smith.
Thank you very much, Nicole, and good evening, everybody, and welcome. As Nicole said, this will be the fourth meeting we've had in just over or just under a year, and we plan to continue these meetings. It's something that you don't see often, where municipalities will come, senior staff and the mayor and council, and sit before you and open the floor to just about anything you want to ask. And there's no good or bad, right or wrong. All we ask is that you're respectful with your questions and you allow us to answer, and that you give everyone else a fair chance to the microphone. So, we do this because I'm here to tell you that this council and this staff is very, very intent, and it is extremely important to us to hear your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions. The one thing I will say that I say at every meeting, at the end of the day, you can ask the questions. You may not like the answers, but I can assure you the answer is going to be the truth. And we all know that sometimes we don't like hearing the truth, and of course sometimes we do. So we're going to be open and honest with you, as always, and happy to start the night with Andrew in a short presentation. I'd just like to point out that all members of council are here with us this evening, which is great, and all of our senior staff and many of our other staff are here as well. So we're prepared to answer your questions. We look forward to it. And just before we get started, Andrew and I were just talking. Can I just have a show of hands? How many full-time residents here tonight? Great. How many part-time residents or seasonal residents? Good stuff. And that's why we decided to do this one in the summer months, because we wanted the seasonal residents to have an opportunity to come out and to ask questions and to hear what's happening here in Wasaga Beach. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to our CEO, Andrew McNeil, for his presentation. Andrew?
Great. Thank you, Mayor Smith. What I'm going to do is I'll try and keep this fairly quick. Hopefully I'll keep this interesting. And I may preempt some questions that some of you may have, but Obviously, anything I touch on, if you want to drill down a little deeper and ask further questions, feel free to do so as soon as I'm done presenting here. Topic that many of you are watching evolve down at the beachfront. Give you a quick update on where we're at with construction down at the main beachfront. So Main Street itself is one of the first roads that we're working on. There's no new storm sewers being run underground right now, and that will connect all the way over to the river. So again, bustle of activity down here. The image on the left, the building in blue, the town recently acquired that building. That building will be torn down. We just didn't want to get in the way of Arnott Construction when they're doing all the work on the street. So that building will likely come down sometime in the early fall. Down on Beach Drive, again, I try to avoid social media as much as I can, but I do scan it just to keep an eye on things that are top of mind for the community. I've seen a lot of comments about why on earth would the town of Wasaga Beach put hoarding up and fencing up in front of businesses in the middle of tourist season. We have to do that. This is a live construction zone. Main Street, Beach Drive are construction zones. You cannot have the public walking in amongst there. Arnott Construction, again, great local company. We're proud to have them on this project with us. They get Wasaga Beach, they get tourism. They're doing everything they can to be respectful and keep as much open as possible. So the image on the right is Playland parking lot to the beach. So we anticipated actually the entirety of the beachfront being closed to pedestrian access this summer. They've kept an access point open for us. So that is great. There will be times between now and Labor Day where it may need to be closed. But again, they're doing their best to accommodate tourism. Beach Drive construction, next week, it's gonna look a lot different than it does this week. They're gonna start digging on Beach Drive, so it's gonna be a very active construction zone. The real noisy, heavy construction, we're trying to keep after Labor Day. So there will be a sheet pile wall that gets built along the entire beachfront. It's gonna raise Beach Drive 5 feet. That is for flood protection. That is a prerequisite in order to start new construction, because today, the Dardanella, those buildings that just came down, you could not build those buildings today. They would be in the floodplain, so we need to do this in order to reinvent the beachfront. That sheet pile wall is gonna be loud and noisy because a big jackhammer thing bangs those piles into the ground. So that's why we're trying to keep that after the main tourism season so that we can keep as much open to help our local businesses as possible. The breakers, which is coming out of the ground on First Street, so this is the development by Stonebridge. They've got their footings in. They're going to be pouring the concrete in the basements, likely tomorrow. And then next week, you're going to see framing starting on these buildings. So these buildings are going to start emerging. These will be complete by the end of the summer, and there will be additional buildings behind these. So we're really looking forward to these. If you haven't seen some of the renderings, it's got a Nantucket type feel to it. At-grade commercial, so really a good fit for Wasaga Beach. For those of you who don't know a lot about the history of Wasaga Beach, we have an amazing, very rich history in this town. Stonebridge has done a great job with their hoarding. It actually got some panels. So Wasaga Beach through the ages. So I encourage you all, if you get a chance, go over, take a look, walk along there and read the panels. They are actually quite interesting. During this time of transition, again, I've mentioned and I will continue to mention, we're trying to do our best to keep the beach as normal as possible. We want tourists coming here. And again, we've torn down the bathrooms, we've torn down restaurants, etc. So we're trying to have some temporary things in place for people to use. So images on the right, we've put in some trailers. I will tell you, the beaver tails is dangerous. I went down there last week and had one, and it is phenomenal. Smash burgers, if you haven't tried it, they are excellent as well. I need to lose weight, so I'm trying to avoid it, but it keeps drawing me there. We just strung some lights overhead a couple days ago. Again, trying to give it the best ambiance we can. I've been down there virtually every day, just keeping an eye on tourists, and they're still coming. We're getting decent crowds, a lot of families, which we'd love to see. Families are absolutely our target market here. That's who we are trying to bring back to Wasaga Beach. Hopefully, once our hotel is built, we'll get them to stay here more than a day. They can come here for a couple weeks. Washroom facilities, absolutely critical. You see the top left image, we just installed some washrooms that thankfully the province is paying for. So we got those installed last week, and again, a little bit better quality than porta potties, so we were glad to get those for our visitors. I've been keeping an eye on the parking lots. Generally, they've been full. July's been a fantastic month. The one thing I will say, 30 degrees, sunny, it doesn't matter if you have buildings and great bathrooms. People will come to Wasaga Beach just to go for a swim. But we are weather dependent. We have a seasonal economy. That's what we're trying to fix. We don't need to build for 30 degrees and sunny because people will come here regardless. We need to build for today. When it's cold and windy and rainy, there needs to be great stuff here to attract people and get them to stay here for a long time. So that's what we're focused on. You'll hear me say that repeatedly. We're designing for cold, windy, rainy days, not 30 degrees and sunny. Tourism, we promote the entire town. We are paying particular attention to the beachfront this year, obviously, because we're trying to help the local businesses, but we do advertise and try to bring people to the entirety of the town. I encourage you all, we are all ambassadors for Wasaga Beach. Whether you're accepting a parking ticket, working in a pizza joint, or whatever you do, or you're retired, please spread the word. Wasaga Beach is open for business. We want to attract as many people here as possible and help our local businesses, particularly during this time of transition. I think some people mistakenly think because construction is underway at Beach 1 that the town is closed. That's not true. You all know that. I'm over at Allenwood Beach. Allenwood Beach has been full virtually every day throughout July. We had a rough spring. It was a little unusual weather, a little colder than normal. July's been phenomenal, so hopefully, knock on wood, the rest of this month, rest of August is exceptional as well. Midway, again, this has been a staple of our community for as long as I can remember. I grew up on all these rides. I'm still a big kid. I will still go on these rides with my kids. You'll see me on this Ferris wheel. I'm not quite as cool as I used to be for my children, but they'll come, they'll bring their friends, and again, this is something, bring all your grandkids and your kids out to enjoy. It's a great piece of Wasaga Beach. The 24th to the 27th is when the Midway will be here in Playland parking lot. Memories of Summer, August 30th, we're gonna have a Queen cover band will be here down on the beachfront, so looking forward to that. I think everybody loves Queen music. You've probably noticed the Wasaga sign at the main entry point, and there was a bit of construction activity going on here over the last week or so. Wanted to explain what's going on. So when we purchased this land, 304 Main Street at the gateway to our community, we did this because we were trying to stop the cycle of land speculation. The municipality wanted to control this site so that we could get high quality development on one of our main gateways to our beachfront. We will be doing that, and our RFP will be released in the not too distant future, seeking a development partner. We did know, eyes wide open, this used to be a gas station. We did know there were tanks in the ground. We had a phase 2 environmental assessment that had taken a look. The actual tanks were not that old. They were actually not replaced that long ago. So again, nothing is ever without risk, but we were quite comfortable with what we were purchasing based on the information we had. We were going to leave the tanks in the ground, and when a developer comes on board, we were going to have them do all of the cleanup work. Our insurance company said to us, no, we want you to take the tanks out now. So that's why we went in. The insurance company wanted us to take them out. It's fine, we did it. We designed the signs specifically so that it was clear of the tanks because we knew where the tanks were. So the machinery was able to go in, pull the tanks out. We'll get our guys in over the next couple days, repair, and get some hydro seed down and get the grass growing so that it looks great for the rest of the summer. The cost to remove the tanks was $28,000. We are keeping a tab of every nickel that we spend on this piece of land. So the purchase price, interest payments, any cost of cleanup, any cost of removal of tanks, etc. All of those costs will be passed along to the ultimate developer, and we will be looking to ensure that we get every nickel of taxpayer dollars back from these lands. We're not trying to make money here, but we don't want to lose money. We just want to break even. So that's the goal here, and hopefully that answers a bunch of questions that people were asking on social media. Down at the main beachfront, again, our focus for the next few years is Beach Area 1, which is essentially the area in yellow. The area in red are what we refer to as areas of influence. So to the left is Beach Area 1, Provincial Beach Area 1. To the right is the town's Beach Area 2, but also Provincial Beach Area 2, and then Nancy Island. About a year ago, we started very aggressive advocacy for the residents of Wasaga Beach. Council passed a resolution directing us to reach out to the province and see if we can get the province to work with us and actually help us evolve Wasaga Beach, improve Wasaga Beach. Many of you have seen this announcement. I think the mayor's speech absolutely made all of us cry, but it was a touching moment. It was a very proud moment for all of us when he was up there with the premier making some announcements. Many of you have heard what was announced, but I'm going to walk you through quickly. Destination Wasaga is a term that the premier used. Why this is important: the only other place in Ontario that has that name in front of them is Niagara. So Destination Niagara gets a lot of love and attention from the province. They are the #1 priority of the Ministry of Tourism. We are now their #2. That's why they've given us this name. We have an amazing relationship going on with the province right now. We meet bi-weekly with an amazing team that are helping us to guide redevelopment in Wasaga Beach and grow this community. One of the things we are looking for is greater capital and operating investments in Wasaga Beach, and we got it. About a little over a week ago, the province gave us $400,000. Why this is important: top right, you see some of the bathrooms that were proposed. So they funded that, and those bathrooms have now been installed. They recognize when we're in this period of transition, we need to do things to keep the tourism area vibrant, exciting, and so they wanted to help us. So they're paying for the bathrooms, they're paying for additional marketing for the community. We're going to be putting some amazing hoarding, beautiful pictures, etc., along that fence that you see along Beach Drive. We've got some mobile tourism container that's going to be dropped off fairly soon, and they're also paying for a new beach rake. Why is that important? We are assuming maintenance. We're currently maintaining Allenwood Beach. The proposal is for the town to assume maintenance for a larger area of beachfront. We don't currently have the equipment. We were going to have to budget for some of this equipment.
Pardon me.
Yeah. We're going to have to budget for some of that equipment. That piece of equipment specifically is over $100,000. The province paid for it. Why that's important: it's critical that our beach looks great. Every great beach town in the world uses this piece of equipment. It picks up all the fine particulate on the beach, cigarette butts, all other kinds of stuff. So this is a great addition to our equipment and will help us maintain our beaches in a stellar way. We've got a marketing campaign. You're going to see these signs all over the 400 series highways. Every en route station is going to be playing these starting next week. Province is paying for that. Nancy Island, $25 million was allocated to restore Nancy Island. Most of you know the history here, I won't get into that. Critically important building for our community, for the history of this country. It needs reinvestment. Infrastructure Ontario is currently out there doing building assessments to understand the condition of all the buildings on the site, and they're going to be looking at building some new buildings. It's a little early to disclose what they're talking about, but I think there are some exciting things proposed in the future. And the idea here is to evolve Nancy Island beyond just a museum. Museums are have lost their luster. This needs to be something welcoming, engaging. The individual that will be running Nancy Island is the individual that actually looks after Discovery Harbor in Penetang. And he has really turned that into an amazing destination. If you haven't been there, you should check it out, because that type of vibe is, I think, what you're going to expect to see at Nancy Island. They got a theater, they have programming for kids. Today, Nancy Island isn't even open for our kids during the school year. We need to be teaching our kids about the history of our own community. But they do amazing programming throughout the year, so we're looking forward to seeing that unfold. One of the things that the Premier announced that kind of flew under the radar was the proposed transfer of significant amounts of land. So approximately 60 hectares of land is proposed to be transferred to the town of Wasaga Beach. This is an incredible turning point in our community, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit about what all of this means. The province currently has a posting up on what they call their environmental registry. It closes on August 11th, and then they will receive all the comments that they've received and then talk to us about what happens next. Assuming everything proceeds, I would expect the lands to come into the ownership of the municipality sometime in the fall. In parallel with all of that, the province recognized that we need to improve these lands. We need a plan for the future. So they are funding a master plan for all of the lands from the mouth of the river to beyond 12th Street. They've allocated about $2 million to help us fund this. I'm a firm believer in using other people's money when they hand it to you. So this is a wonderful opportunity to work with all of you, every resident in this community, to create a community-based plan that will guide the evolution of these significant lands for our community for the next few generations of people. Here is a map, and what you'll notice, the lands outlined in yellow are the lands that we're talking about. So this includes Allenwood Beach from the border of Woodland, New Wasaga Beach, Beach Area 1, Beach Area 2. So essentially from 16th Street all the way to the border of Woodland. Allenwood is already owned by the municipality. The other areas are not, so that it's proposed that ownership would change. All of these lands are proposed to be deregulated and taken out of the provincial park. Nancy Island would not come to the town. That would be transferred to the Ministry of Tourism. By show of hands, how many people were in this room were around in the late 60s, early 70s in this community when all of these lands were initially taken? We've got a few. I was a toddler. I think I was wearing diapers when this was going on. My sister was a few years older than me. But this is Beach Area 1, an old historical photo of what used to be out there. At Beach Area 1, there were hotels, there were restaurants, there were residential homes, things to do, people's livelihoods. I've showed this image before. This was my family's business. This was at 13th Street. The reason I show this is I want to try and convey what was happening back in the 60s and 70s. We fight a lot on our phones about minor issues, and I wish we would all stop and just help promote moving this town forward. But can you imagine today if the province came to Wasaga Beach and said, all those homes along Shore Lane that you've invested in, that you built, we're taking them all. All those businesses that you've worked your fingers to the bone, we're taking them all. This was my family's business, Christie's Cottages. It was in our family. My great-grandfather built these. At the time, these were one of 2 establishments in Wasaga Beach that were AAA rated. So these were some of the best quality accommodation. We catered entirely to American tourists who came up here and stayed for weeks, if not months on end. Repeat customers, again, we were known. People wanted to come and stay here. These were taken and bulldozed. And the land where these sat has been sitting there for 50 years. Vacant, the weeds are taller than me. That's one story, one personal story. Every one of you that put your hands up, I'm sure you all have stories of how this touched your families. There were literally hundreds of families that were devastated by what went on. That's what they did to Beach Area 1 in the early 1970s. I think Joni Mitchell wrote her song about Beach Area 1. But all joking aside, that's what was going on around North America. It's shocking. Again, I don't think any of us looking at this could imagine this even possibly occurring today. It never would. It would never be allowed. But that's what happened. Businesses were taken, homes were taken, they were torn down, and we built parking lots for cars. And whose cars? We were turned into a parking lot for the city of Toronto. That was the clear intention here. What does that mean? So we took businesses that were attracting people to stay for weeks, months, would come here and spend money and time, and we turned it into primarily a place for day trippers. Now, I've been in this community 54 years. I think I was conceived in that cottage court that I just showed you. I've watched this experiment my whole life. I watched it last weekend down on the beachfront. I love day trippers, wonderful families coming up here. They come up, they get out of their car, they open the trunk, one cooler full of drinks, one cooler full of food, and they go have a wonderful time on the beach. Fantastic. They leave their garbage, they get back in their car, and they go home, and we clean up the garbage. Sometimes they pay for parking, sometimes they don't, but the reality is day trippers don't spend a lot of money in our community. I love the fact that they get to enjoy Wasaga Beach. This is a jewel that we all should be sharing across the province, but our economy was destroyed in the late 60s, early 70s, and quite frankly, it's never recovered. My whole life, I've watched every year things be taken away. When I was a kid, there were carnivals and rides and Dinosaur Valley and Water World right here. My sister was a lifeguard at Water World. I worked at World of Golf right next door. This was an amazing place to be a kid. All that stuff is gone. Every year it got taken away. The reason I'm saying this is the opportunity of a generation of all of our lives to fix it. We have an opportunity to create a plan for the future. We have the ear of the Premier and all of his team that are willing to help us and invest and make things happen here. These opportunities don't come along often. And I will tell you, we do have the ear of the Premier. The Mayor has a wonderful relationship with him. The things that we are getting are phenomenal. So this is the time. I call this lightning in a bottle. We've got lightning in a bottle. Now let's create the plan. Now let's make things happen. We've already started, but this is the time for wonderful things for Wasaga Beach. So that was 50 years ago. This is 50 years later. These were taken a few weeks ago. All of that wonderful asphalt hasn't been resealed, repaved. There's weeds growing through it. The shade structures, you see the little rubber on the edges there so you don't pass out when you conk your head on them. This one's actually in pretty decent shape. Most of them are graffiti all over them. Some of the roofs are missing. The picnic tables, quite frankly, I would not be comfortable sitting at them. That's our wonderful boardwalk that was built 50 years ago that needs to be rebuilt. This is the world's longest freshwater beach. That's not good enough. When I go on vacation, and I'm going in 2 weeks, I work hard, and I want to take my family somewhere that we're going to enjoy ourselves. And for the people that are coming here and experiencing this, that's what they walk away with. We had to eat lunch on a gross picnic table. The boardwalk was falling apart. The washrooms were disgusting. Like, we have to do better. We will do better. And we're starting the process to make that happen. Heard a lot about piping plovers. These are cute birds. I love plovers. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in this room that doesn't love a plover. How could you not love that? Interestingly enough, there's a little panel on Stonebridge's hoarding that explains a bit of the history of plovers. We're meeting tomorrow with Birds Canada. The head of Birds Canada is coming here to chat with us about how we can work together to ensure plovers continue to prosper here. The one thing I will say about plovers, they're a very sociable bird. If you ever walked along the edge of the water, they walk with you. I think I've shared many times, I have a place down in Florida on the Gulf of Mexico. I still call it the Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf of America. That's where all the plovers go in the winter. There are literally thousands of plovers that come to the Sarasota area. So when you walk along the beach, they're all just walking with you, playing in the sand. They're not bothered by you. So one of the things we want to chat with Birds Canada about is management practices, and understanding how we strike that balance between making sure we respect plovers, allow them to thrive, but also allow all of us to use the beach and enjoy a pristine beach. There is a happy compromise. I will tell you, down in Sarasota, they do that. The beaches are pristine and the birds thrive. That whole area is a bird sanctuary. So can be done. So we're looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. I won't go into detail on this, but every municipality, you look at our official plan and you will find Wasaga Beach wants to become a sustainable community for future generations. Every municipality has that word in their official plans. There are 3 pillars of sustainability: social, environmental, economic. Some would argue that there's actually 4 pillars: cultural, that you can kind of blend that in with social. The challenge over the last 50 years, when Ontario Parks first created the Parks Master Plan in 1978, the mandate of that master plan was really working with the municipality, locking arms to ensure a sustainable community. And you did that through social, environmental, economic efforts. Over the last few decades, the sole focus has become the 1 pillar, environmental, with very little consideration towards economic and social. Whenever you focus on 1 pillar and you ignore the others, think of it as a bar stool. Your bar stool gets a little wobbly and eventually it'll tip over. You have to strike a balance between all of these elements. That's what we're going to do. That's what this opportunity allows us to do. It's resetting the relationship and ensuring that we're allowing Wasaga Beach to thrive for future generations. And the last issue I'll mention, I saw some comments made about, well, why would you take these lands? Forget the fact that this is a gift of a generation that the Premier is giving to us to allow us to reinvent our history, but you're going to be saddled with all kinds of costs. This is just provincial downloading. No, it's not. Ontario Parks, one of the major sources of revenue for Ontario Parks is parking. We have this summer, for the first summer in our history, have been managing Allenwood Beach from Eastdale to Edwards. This gentleman lives right on this, and I'm sure he's happy about it. And I know there's a few in here that I recognize. We installed the town's paid parking signs the end of June. I think it was around June 20th. In approximately 25 days, we have collected $60,000 in revenue. Also recognize our council has allowed residents to park there for free. You get a parking pass, you can park at Allenwood Beach for free. So we're not even getting 100% utilization. I won't tell people about that. You want to keep people away. But, so we're not even get 100% utilization of the parking at Allenwood because we've got locals parking there, which is fantastic. It's wonderful, particularly with some of the construction going on at the main end. This is a great place to go. So at not 100% utilization, that is phenomenal revenue that's been generated in a very short period of time. Cold spring. So next year, hopefully the weather cooperates a little bit better. People get out there earlier in the spring. We can generate some great revenue. That's going to be the model that helps us in Beach Area 1, Beach Area 2. There are about 170 parking spots at Allenwood. Just in Beach Area 1, there's over 600 parking spots. So that's 4 times the revenue that we're going to be generating just in Beach Area 1. The same will be true in Beach Area 2. So we will have to add additional staff. Kevin's team are going to have to be managing all this area. But we're fairly confident that a lot of the revenue that comes from parking will cover those operating costs so that the taxpayer won't get saddled with that. So, and again, that's what Ontario Parks has been doing for 50 years, so we know it works. So that's the story there. And I'm going to stop talking and open the floor up. So if there's anything I missed, feel free to ask us, and we'll do our best to respond.
Thank you, Andrew. So we invite anyone that would like to address the panel to just enter over into one of the aisles, and the microphone is yours. And we'll start to my right.
Might be slightly lengthy, but I'm speaking on behalf of several people that can't make it tonight. I'd like to further justice the proposal to transfer Beach Area 1 and 2, New Wasaga and Allenwood, from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks to the town of Wasaga Beach. There's several things that concern me about this. First, these lands are part of a unique coastal dune ecosystem. This represents only 1.5% of the Great Lakes shoreline and only 2 to 3% of the Lake Huron shoreline. So they're very rare and environmentally sensitive. According to the Lake Huron Centre for Coastal Conservation, a mature dune is valued at $3,000 per linear meter for its services of shoreline protection, water filtration, sand drifting protection. From a tourism perspective, the dunes provide natural beauty, and the trees in the adjoining parks provide much needed shade in extreme heat. Many of the trees that are part of the red oak white pan savanna that borders the open sand prairie and prairie heath habitats have been removed in past decades for houses and cottages, and shorelines are hardened with retaining walls, which has destroyed large portions of the dunes. There are, however, still large stretches of dunes at many portions of the beach, along Allenwood, New Wasaga, at the point and the mouth of the river, and at Beach Area 1, which is currently under an area of natural and scientific interest, and its habitat, as you mentioned, for the piping plover, and at Beach Area 2 Park, as well as the Crown land at 13th and 16th Street. And I know, Andrew, you mentioned 13th Street. What's interesting is, yes, it's been vacant, but it's also been naturalized, so a lot of those dunes have started to recover. My concern is these are going to be very vulnerable to destruction if we're going to be transferring all that over for development. I understand the opportunity sees that there's development, the transformation of the main beach, but I think we have to be really careful to preserve the remaining woodlands in Beach Park 2 and the remaining dunes along all of the lands proposed in this transfer. When the lands are under the guardianship of the Ontario Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, I feel their goal has been to preserve, and the management of these areas are in the hands of scientists.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yep.
Sorry, we're just going to ask if we can go to the question. Yes, please.
Question,
And I'll remind everyone in attendance that ERO that Andrew discussed earlier, so that's the comment period. So that's where you can enter a lot of this great information that you have in and provide your comments. But if you have a question, we're happy to address as well.
Yeah, so well, I guess I'll skip the middle part, but as climate changes dramatically and affects global weather patterns, we need to be prepared for extreme weather events like flash floods. We need to recognize that the naturalized dunes with native grasses and plants are the best form of flood mitigation, and while the forests and the trees buffer the winds, reduce blowing sands and snow. Equally, more importantly, they provide natural beauty. I have a question to kind
Okay.
of finish. Yes.
No, if you could just ask the question.
Yes.
Sorry.
So with the rules and bylaws that you establish now is going to shape our town for generations to come. So based on the likelihood that this transfer from the provincial parks to the town will occur, I'd like to know what your plans are for for the lands and how you're going to balance the development with environmental stewardship and try to preserve some of the existing dunes so they're not all completely destroyed.
Thank you. And between Andrew and Kevin, I believe, and his worship.
I'm happy to start. We've actually put out an RFP to bring on a team to help us create this plan. We've asked for an ecologist to be part of that team. We absolutely 100% agree with everything you just said. Dunes are important. We will look to preserve those. Anything we create, the plan that we create will look to be sustainable. And that includes incorporating best practices for beach management, et cetera. So we absolutely agree with everything you just said, and we will look to incorporate that into the plan. You saw what the province did back in the 60s and 70s. I don't think what they did was responsible. We will do better.
Thank you. And the gentleman to my left with a shirt that I fully agree with.
Hi, so my parents moved here 3 years ago, and it's just a wonderful place. I'll be moving up here within the next year or so. This is more just like a quick suggestion that I hope helps regarding the fireworks on July 1st. So we went to Beachfront to see them, and there was probably about 100, maybe 150 people, and then we looked down at the different beaches, beach 4, 3, 2, and it was packed. It was packed. In all the announcements, nobody said kind of how much you would not be able to see them from these beaches. So for example, there was a wonderful family, there was about 40 people, definitely from overseas, I think maybe India or somewhere around there. And they came up and asked us because we get, on the radio and stuff, they say, come out and see the fireworks. So we all went to Beach 5 and sat down and we're all waiting to see them. And then you just couldn't. It was so tiny that you're sitting there and you're like, is this the actual fireworks? And then even the whole family came up and they're like, is that the show? And we just didn't know. There's people coming to us asking, nobody knew. So we ended up leaving, and then we drove, and we're like, my parents live past Beach 1, or it was Beach 2 where it was held. So we drove past Beach 2, and it was amazing. It was an amazing show, and it was super beautiful. So I just think it would go a long way to announce on the radio, something to the effect of don't go to Beach 5 or 4 or something like that, because you won't see them. Like there's about 500 people in the beaches that just did not see it, and unfortunately I feel like there'll be a lot of people, especially for visitors from overseas, that would have gotten a very bad impression of the fireworks show because they're coming from countries with giant fireworks, and they're like, oh man, this is a Canadian fireworks show. So anyways, that's just
No, thank you so much. That's excellent feedback. And our Director of Communications and Intergovernmental Affairs is here, and I'm sure that she's marked that recommendation down. Thank you so much. Ma'am, to my right.
Just one comment before I ask my question. I'm happy that you're getting a consultant on to sort of reimagine what the beach could look like. I hope that you're looking beyond our back door, more globally, at someone who actually embraces the concept of working with the environment and looking at innovative approaches, which I hope I've heard that that's what you're going to be doing, and looking at integrating develop into our already beautiful beachfront. I understand there's been work on a tree bylaw, and just a comment, I'd like to know the status of it. I am concerned about it because if we continue to allow clear cutting, even on individual properties, pretty soon everybody that thinks they're looking at their neighbor's trees, in decades to come, we're not going to have a tree canopy. And so, I think what we want to do and what you're saying you want to do is you're capitalizing on the natural beauty to support tourism and drive economic development. So I'd just like to know what the status is of that.
Thank you. The tree bylaw is definitely on the work plan. The Director of Planning is here, and he can correct me if I misspeak. So currently the Planning Division is completing the official plan and the West Secondary Plan. So after that is complete, then the focus will be with the tree bylaw, and there will be consultation on that tree bylaw. So you will see that this year. Yes, sorry, public consultation, my apologies, yes. You're welcome. Sir?
To the extent possible, can anybody in the panel be more clear or bring clarity to what is going to happen with the lands? Is the province transferring to the ownership of the town of Wasaga Beach? Is the province going to maintain the ownership of the properties? Then Wasaga Beach will benefit when the properties are sold by the province. And as far as the point's concerned, as much as you can, just for social media purposes, could you touch briefly on what could possibly go there besides just parking spots?
Yeah, so the consultation that the province is currently doing on the environmental registry, in that it states that the proposal is to transfer ownership to the town of Wasaga Beach. So that is what they are seeking consultation on. I assume that will likely be what happens, but again, we have to wait for the process to work through, and we will know more after it closes and after we hear the feedback from the province. So in terms of what goes on these areas, this is a complete clean slate to figure it out. If I was to spitball some things, there has to be parkland, there has to be parking. Beyond that, we're probably, again, this is going to come from all of you, what you want to see, likely some attractions, some restaurants, some commercial. There will likely be some residential. So again, I think we can all work together to figure out what this plan is. Nobody sitting up here has any preconceived ideas. I think we're walking into this with a clean slate. I will guarantee you this will be a community-based planning process. We will hold workshops, we will hold charrettes, etc. And all of you will have a role in shaping this plan. And we're going to actively listen, and we're bringing in the best of the best team that we can find. Somebody mentioned over here global talent. I will share with you in the RFP, the one thing we were prohibited from doing, we're not allowed to hire an American firm. Because so the province is paying the bill, so that was a criteria. We have to respect the proclamation from the Premier. But beyond that, it's open to anyone on the planet who's in this field, and we've got some great takers, and we're looking forward. I didn't mention timing. It'll close in August. We hope to have the team in place in August, and we will jump in immediately. So you will see workshops being advertised September, October, November, etc. I hope to be in this room a year from now with the plan done. That's the goal.
Thank you, Andrew. And ma'am, to my right.
Okay, whoops, I know what I just did. Fiona Reiner. Andrew, just first a quick observation. There are only 84 nesting pairs of the Great Lakes piping plovers in the entire Great Lakes, including Michigan. So I think what you were seeing at Sarasota was an awful lot of sandpipers and other things in the mix, because there can't have been thousands of the Great Lakes piping plovers. Just a clarification there. I also need a little bit better clarification. You said something about meeting with Birds Canada and looking at how you can, I can't think exactly how you put it, but how you can work the balance of tourism in with the piping plovers. You sort of said that in the context of Sarasota, pristine beach, and so I really do want to ask the question. The area from Spruce Street to the point has been very carefully nurtured as very natural habitat, very natural land, full of dunes, full of vegetation. I have participated in planting marram grass to protect the dunes. Many, many things have been done to that area, which people don't realize is an excellent, healthy, natural section of beach. And going right down to the point, where there's been since the 1990s an area protected for any migratory birds. So my question is, exactly what are you going to do from Spruce Street to the point with the section of beach?
exactly what we're going to do is sit down with you, who are one of our local experts, and we're going to get feedback from you and learn from you and help incorporate your ideas in the plan for the future. I hope that's a reasonable response. We are willing to learn. You clearly know more about the local plovers than I do. And it's quite possible that I was mistaken for another plover I know there are different varieties of plovers. I will share with you, I have seen plovers in Sarasota with Wasaga Beach tags on them. So they do come all that far. But again,
Watch them hatch.
yeah. So again, we want to get this right. This is a generational opportunity to get it right. Being environmentally responsible, protecting endangered species is part of getting it right. So again, this is whatever your interest is. Yours is plovers, and I'm sure there are other things. But we'll meet with you. We'll talk with you. That's why we're doing this tomorrow with Birds Canada. So that's part of the process.
I look forward to the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is Barbara LaFleche, and my question is about housing. The cost of housing is forbiddable for most people, and I live at 175 Zoo Park, which is Simcoe County housing, and I know our mayor, Mayor Smith, as well as Mayor Measures from Clearview, are on the board of directors for Simcoe County Housing. We are recently suffering, in the past it was a big drug issue, but now it is about abuse of bullying, and some of the residents that are being bullied are needing to leave. In this, we've asked about moving, but we were told that to move anywhere else, our rent would be doubled, which would make it impossible to move for most people that are in the situation like myself on old age and CPP benefits. I would like to know, does the board of directors have a policy of doubling rent in 4 years? And in 4 years ago, it was affordable housing, and they're calling double rent now affordable housing. And I just want to ask that question.
Well, thank you, Barbara, first for having the courage to stand up and speak about it. And thanks for being here tonight to bring this to our attention. However, I will tell you, you're not telling me anything that we're not aware of, the issues, not just at Zoo Park Road, but at any county housing. There are many different issues. County Council as a whole sits as basically the board of directors for Simcoe County Housing, and myself and Deputy Mayor Snell are included in that. What I will tell you is that no, we're not in the habit of doubling rents, but it is a complex rent scenario when it comes to county housing. County housing, Simcoe County Housing Corporation has many different types of rent in different types of buildings in different areas. And for example, Zoo Park Road has several units that are geared to income. So 32% of an individual's income is the rent that they would pay there. That's for some of those units. Some of those units are rented at full market rate.
Yeah.
Some of them are rented at 30% below, 20% below, 10% below. And we try to do that and spread that out through all of county housing so as that we have a good mix of individuals and people and income levels living in these Simcoe County housing complexes. I don't know the specific case, your specific case that you're talking about. I understand that there was some issues there with respect to drugs and people coming in and kind of taking over, and I think we've dealt with that now with the OPP, and we've got through that, and I understand that there are issues with neighbors, not just on Zoo Park Road, but in many, if not just Simcoe County buildings, but any building. And we have complaints every day at the town of Wasaga Beach from one neighbor against the other. Don't like the color of their fence, don't like the fact that they've done something in the ditch, whatever. So I would have to sit down with you, which I'm happy to do, and also sit down with the director at the county, Director Baguette Fayez, Mina Baguette Fayez, to talk to you about this. I can only assume, because I don't know your whole case, is that if they move you from where you are currently to another building somewhere else, that perhaps the only thing available is rent that would double your rent. And so until that's available, or something else more comparable to what you have is available, you have a choice to stay there or move and pay more. I can tell you that the county in no way is in the habit of moving people to double their rent. That's not the business Simcoe County Housing is in. We're in the business at the County of Simcoe to provide affordable housing to the absolute best that we possibly can. And I can tell you we're building buildings right now where Rose Street in Barrie is a good example. That's going to be a large complex, and there'll be rents in that building on the upper floors that will have views over one of the lakes in Barrie that will be above market rent value. And the reason for that is to help subsidize those lower rents that are being given out within that building to help pay for the subsidy. I understand that you spoke with Michaela today on the phone, if I understood correctly. If you want to give Michaela a shout again tomorrow, my office, she'll be glad to set up a time to have a conversation and/or set up a time and date that we can sit down with General Manager Fayez Baguette to have the conversation to see what it is we can do. I think it's important to point out that the County of Simcoe does great work in the social housing and affordable housing business. However, affordable housing is a pandemic throughout North America. It's not just here, and it's very complicated. But the County of Simcoe, compared to many other regions or most other regions in the province of Ontario, is right at the very top of the list in the quality that we offer and the amount that we offer. And you know, I'm very proud to say when I was mayor from 14 to 18, we secured the 99 units of affordable housing on Zoo Park Road. And in 2027, hopefully 2026, as things are moving right now, the Deputy Mayor Snell and I are working hard to make sure that the other 99 units can get built here as quickly as possible as well. But that is still going to be far from enough units. So please reach out tomorrow if you would. Michaela will set up a time that we can have an in-depth conversation and do what we can to help, and not just yourself to even move, but to fix the problem so you don't have to move. I think that's what's most important.
Well, it's not only myself,
I'm aware of that.
Mr. Mayor, it's a number of people that are suffering physical abuse and bullying at this location.
So I would advise that those individuals contact the OPP each and every time. That is what's going to help us at the county evict people. And we've been through this process. And I can tell you that we even went above and beyond the normal protocols on the Landlord Tenants Act, because the Landlord Tenants Act as it is today makes it very difficult to evict people. But we have a process that our staff at the county have tapped into that helps us to move that process quicker so as that we can get the bad apples out. But we can't do it if we're not aware of it each and every time. It's important that that be documented, especially if there's individuals, specific individuals that are doing this bullying and so on and so forth. So happy to talk to you more offline tomorrow so as that we can help to, again, improve the conditions there.
I appreciate this so much, as these other people that are enduring this will appreciate meeting with you as well. I do want to add one thing. You have a jewel here in Wasaga Beach. That's your library. The library staff is so wonderful. It is a place that people can come and feel very safe and welcomed. So I want to thank you again for that.
Well, thank you, and don't just thank me. Again, very proud. Our council is very proud of the staff here at the town of Wasaga Beach, not only at the library, but in all of our departments. We don't get it right each and every time, but we do our very best. And our staff work very hard to make sure that you have the quality of service that you have. So thank you for that. Appreciate it, Barbara.
Hi, my name's Dave. I'm a resident here. My question is about the beach renovations, and does anything involve the river? Are you planning on doing any sort of a harbor? Is the river going to be opened up for more boating traffic? Has that been a thought? Or?
I'll start, and then Kevin, maybe you might want to add. I think anything's on the table. This is the time to dream, folks. So as part of this plan, trying to create a harbor or a marina, public marina of some sort, I think is something that we can absolutely take a look at. I know these ideas have been talked about for decades. Over at Town Hall, we've got 2 plans that were done, one in the early 2000s, one I think before that looked at a couple options. The key thing that we want to try and do, and I know the folks who are looking at Nancy Island recognize the importance of connecting to boat traffic on Georgian Bay. There's a lot of boats that go out of Midland, Penetang, Collingwood, etc. So if we can provide an amenity that can bring those folks in here to spend time and money here, I think that's a good thing. So that'll be one thing that we look at. Kevin, I don't know if you want to add to that, or did I cover it? Okay.
So just one of the curiosities I have though, like the river itself, like I have a small fishing boat. In a 1.5 foot of water, I can barely make it through the channel.
Right.
So there's the bigger boats are definitely not going to.
Yeah. So there's a few options. One is some kind of a marina in the actual river. You're right. It's really shallow. If you want to accommodate bigger boats, you got to go out in the bay, which would require some kind of a break wall. It's a little more complicated. You're impacting currents, etc. Again, this is not unheard of. It has been done in other places. We can take a look at it, but it is complicated. But again, we can take a look.
And I'll just add to that, it's something that has been talked about in Wasaga Beach for many, many years, and that is having a proper harbor in and or around the mouth of the Nottawasaga River. Our river depths are very dependent on the water levels in Georgian Bay. We've had great river depths for the last 7-8 years, and now we're over the last couple of years, we're seeing as the water recedes in Georgian Bay that, of course, our river depths are much more shallow. I remember times as a kid where I could walk across the river and touch the bottom the whole way, and I remember times where I had no choice but to swim. And so this isn't new, but this plan that we're looking at it's an opportunity, as Andrew said, to dream, and it's an opportunity to encompass any and everything that we think is going to be the most important and most viable and sustainable and affordable way for Wasaga Beach to move forward. I've had a few people who have said to me, why are they spending $25 million on Nancy Island? And why would you spend $2 million on a plan to look at Wasaga Beach from the mouth of the Nottawasaga River to 16th Street? This is provincial money not well spent. And you may have heard me say this before, but at the end of the day, we all pay our taxes. You pay your municipal tax, you pay provincial tax, and you pay federal tax. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I would much rather the province of Ontario be spending our tax dollars that we've been sending out for years to the province of Ontario back here in Wasaga Beach for whatever reason, as opposed to anywhere else. And so we've got this opportunity, as Andrew said, when it's other people's money, we're going to find a way to spend it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is the first time in the history of this community where we've ever had a sitting premier come to Wasaga Beach for any announcement. And the announcement was huge. And it took a lot of work on behalf of staff and council. And we do have a great relationship. So, you make an excellent point when you talk about the Nottawasaga River, because it's not just about the beachfront. And I can tell you that I am very confident that this council and our senior staff, and all our staff for that matter, are very, very aware of the importance of our beachfront, very, very aware of the importance of the Nottawasaga River in our history. And we are going to do our darndest to make sure that we get this as right as we possibly can.
Good evening, my name is Louise. My grandfather purchased land in 1954 in New Wasaga, so we're seasonal residents. I know we're in the proposal stage and we're dreaming about plans, but you did mention if we get Beach Area 2 from the province, 1 in New Wasaga, you already have Allenwood. You mentioned that residential was a possibility. I don't understand. Can you give me an example of how we would use that land for residential purposes?
Again, let's let the process unfold and create the plan together. Is there an opportunity to incorporate residential into a plan? Of course there is. Again, I envision it as mixed use with parks and parking and things to do and places to see, attractions, places for people to live. There's nothing wrong with that. It's doing it in the appropriate manner. We're going to bring the best of the best to the table to help us figure out how to do that. Again, I don't want to talk about the details of the plan because we haven't even started drawing the plan just yet.
I'm not asking for details.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get an example of the province would transfer ownership to the town. The town would go through the planning process with all our input. What is an example of residential? Like, would you be selling that land to people for private cottages? Or are you talking about, is it residential for the community and it's government owned or Simcoe County? I don't understand what residential use you would use it for.
Again, we'll figure this out together. I don't want to.
Can you give me an example?
Well, maybe.
What is it?
Maybe I could give you an example.
Yeah, please give me an
So
example.
the province of Ontario, other than Beach Area 1 to the mouth of the Nottawasaga and Beach Area 2 to 12th Street, or a little bit past in some areas to 16th Street, also owns a ton of land in Wasaga Beach that is currently vacant lots. These are homes that they took in the late 60s, early 70s. If you drive along Shore Lane, for example, you will see beautiful homes, you will see wonderful quaint cottages, and you will see a vacant treed lot. And many people would say, how is it possible that this vacant treed lot sits on the longest freshwater beach in the world and has never been developed? It's because they took it. And when back in the day, Eugene Langevin, who was the Reeve and the Ratepayers Association, took the province to task and actually went to court. The courts agreed with the Reeve and the Ratepayers Association that no, the province can't be doing this. It's wrong, and you need to stop. But what they didn't do was they didn't make the province give anything back that they had already taken. They just didn't let them take any more. And so myself and the Premier did a great drive, a great tour through Wasaga Beach, and I pointed out all of these areas on Beach Drive, for example, Shore Lane, where we have blocks and blocks on the south side of Shore Lane that are, just treat areas. And we have all of these lots, probably 80, 100 or more, prime waterfront lots, infill lots that are fully serviced with water and sewer and gas and all of the utilities that should have been residential properties. That has cost you, the taxpayer of Wasaga Beach, over the decades, hundreds of millions of dollars. You haven't got development charges for that in order to improve roads and infrastructure. And we've lost all of those taxes for perpetuity. Now, we were getting taxes on a lot of those properties at a very basic rate for vacant land. But in 2015, I believe it was, the province then decided, well, we shouldn't be paying that much tax here. So we're going to take all of those vacant lots and we're going to pull them into and include them as part of the provincial park under the park boundary. So now we don't pay any tax. So you have lost, again, hundreds of millions of dollars over the year on these properties. So when we talk about residential, that's one example. Another example could be if we were to attract, let's just say, a Great Wolf Lodge, for example, and a hotel. There would be some residential with that, possibly some hotel condo units or whatever in a specific section. And we don't know exactly until we go through the plan what parts, if any, of those could be deemed residential. Because remember, the province of Ontario and Bill 23 is all about building more homes faster, and it's a reason why they're doing the things they're doing in many ways. And so until we get through the plan, until we know exactly what the province is going to turn over to the town, until we're able to sit down then with the experts, look at a map, and to have all of that public consultation, we can't say exactly if anything. But I think what Andrew's saying today is we're putting it all out there, because what we don't want is to come back here in a year from now and say there's going to be a small section or a section of residential here, And everyone will say, oh, you never mentioned residential. So today I think it's important that we say everything included, mixed use. So is that opens the door and leaves it open for us all to sit down, to work together, to work with the experts, to work with the province, to listen to the people of Wasaga Beach, and do the best we can. And I'm going to promise you one thing right here and now. Not everybody's going to be happy no matter what we do. But we're going to do the best we can. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I didn't realize to the extent of the land of the province. So that was an excellent example. Thank you.
Just keep in mind, folks, that the province of Ontario and the provincial park is 25% of the total landmass of Wasaga Beach. It's unheard of in any other municipality. It's a huge amount of land, and there are lands that aren't waterfront. There are tons of lands all throughout this town that the province owns, and quite frankly aren't aware of everything they own. They're quite surprised, and the Premier was quite surprised when we did the trip, and I was pointing out all of these properties that they own so much.
Yeah, I think it is a surprise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it on? I don't know. Okay. You just mentioned that we're not all going to always agree, and thus is life in a pluralist society, so I appreciate this forum, and I appreciate this chance. I want to say 3 small little preemptive things. 1, I'm really tired, so possibly my questions aren't cogent or articulate. Number 2, I'm a recent transplant in process. I'm from KW, and we just recently bought a property last year, so hey, new neighbors. Number 3, you were talking about working with the Premier. My childhood friend, David Eby, Premier of Ontario, is in KW, hanging with my friends. And I walked out on a dinner party so I could make it here on time. So I'm just telling you that because David's pretty busy usually, and the fact that I would kind of stick it to him a little bit and not show up when he made an effort just goes to show how much I really care about my new community and how much these questions matter. So with that, 2 questions. The first one, so I'm a teacher. I was shooting the breeze with my friend Alan Woodhouse, who's a bird scientist, funny enough. And over the years, I've had him in my classroom because he's really one of the preeminent scientists in Canada as an ornithologist about this. And so, things to talk about. I talk about things that bore him, and he talks about things that bore me. But I mentioned this whole bird thing, and he hadn't heard of it. And I just didn't know sort of how I could be of help, perhaps. So he, one of the key lessons he always tells, because in grade 6 science, one of the things we have to talk about is biodiversity. That's a big unit that's mandated in grade 6. So he always talks about, certain species in the grand, complex categorization and classifications of animals and things is birds and bees and things like that. How do I help? Because I don't know. Now, granted, school's been over now for almost a month, and I haven't seen him since late May, and things obviously have changed, and I'm a busy mom. The field on ornithologists of Ontario, how do we connect the scientists that have that? Because Birds Canada is one organization, right? But there's other organizations in Ontario, and people like my friend Alan actually do reference that song by Joni Mitchell. And once a species is gone, it's gone, right? And so I'm sure he and his friends, and he's very tightly networked with some of the top preeminent bird scientists in Ontario. How do I facilitate that dialogue? I'm new, I don't know how your government works. What can I do to help?
I'm going to give you a card,
Sure.
and let's chat.
Okay, now forward it
Yeah,
down.
and sorry, for your second question, I think you missed the preamble. So
Yeah.
we do ask that you just get back in line, and we're going to allow everybody 1 question, and then we'll flip-flop. Sir.
Hello, my name is Shane. I live at 175 Zoo Park Road with Barb. I'd like to elaborate on an underlying problem Barb touched on. There are at least 5 women that I know of that have either been harassed, have been threatened. They're all elderly, and they've tried to get out of that location. But unfortunately, the only way they can get out, as Barb mentioned, is by paying upwards of double the rent while being penalized for ignoring the problem to begin with. Then on top of that, you touched on, Mr. Smith, you touched on the police. Well, it's a 2-part responsibility. There's the responsibility of the landlord themselves as per providing a safe and sound environment, which is under the Landlord-Tenant Act itself. Then on top of that, I'm going to read just a little bit. I'll make this as brief as I can, but this is extremely important. I've even reached out to your office and I'd like to speak to you again. I do have my law degree. I've been fighting social injustice best part of my life. And there's an article here I just want to touch on, especially the point that you made earlier, Mr. Smith. This is from simcoe.com. It actually touches on these very issues. It says Simcoe County Housing specifically regarding the lack of accountability related to social housing properties and their impact on the town. So this is a systemic problem that's been festering God knows how long. But it affects the tenants, on a large capacity. Me being one of them, I moved up here due to health concerns 4 years ago. I ended up, my life's been threatened twice by total strangers that don't know me on any level. I ended up facing a unlawful eviction and a false charge. Fortunately, I prevailed on both fronts. But nevertheless, now I have an ongoing anxiety because it all resulted as of social bullying. And I even approached the landlord prior to this all going down. But instead of actually working with me and being proactive, they actually worked against me. Now I can prove every single thing I've said here today.
So thank you, and we did touch on this earlier when Barb spoke about it. So I did want to just kind of go on what Mayor Smith said. We do have enforcement meetings, joint agency enforcement meetings that we hold bi-monthly, and we discuss all the issues that happen within the town. So we will definitely raise this again for that property. And Michaela is here, the mayor's EA, and we encourage you to make that meeting so that we can address that.
Just two more
This
points.
is not the forum. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna.
Just 2 more points, if you don't mind. 2 more. I ended up. It's important that
Sorry, sir, but
everybody hears this.
No, I
ended
understand.
up with a heart condition, which is heart disease, which is actually one of the main diseases related to ongoing stress. Is this relevant? You're absolutely it is. But just one last thing in reference to the article that I wanted to mention to you, because it's a valid question.
Sorry, sir, we're going to have to, again, we're happy to chat with you after the meeting. We'll set up a follow-up meeting with you, but we're going to have to move on to this gentleman.
No, sorry, sir.
Sorry,
We
sir.
have to hold the rules.
It's just one more simple question.
I'm gonna go over to my right.
The town
Thank
is
you.
exploring the possibility of forming a local affordable housing committee. That was
Excuse me, sir. If you want to ask or make another point, then I ask go back at the end of the line, and you can come back and make that point.
You don't have to, I
No.
poured my heart out, and it's almost like you're showing a tone with me.
No, I'm not showing a tone with you.
Well-
I'm just asking you, sir, to be, fair like everybody else. The last lady that just spoke before you was asked to go to the end of the line and come back for her second question. That's all we're asking. I absolutely understand the magnitude that this can have on an individual.
Okay, sorry.
But I'm
we've
not
asked
going to
you
debate
be
it with you here and
respectful.
now, I can tell you that.
Hi everyone. So I just want to start off by saying, I don't envy any of you up there. Anyone that decides to get into politics, it's kind of a thankless job. Like you said, Brian, it doesn't matter what you do, someone's always unhappy. Secondly, I'd like to say thank you for holding these. They're informative. I appreciate it. It's nice to be able to come out and attend something like this. Next, I just, out of curiosity for myself, it seems like each one is the topic all the time. So, show of hands, like who is happy? And don't be shy. Let's be honest. Who is happy with the direction that each one is going? Show of hands. So, it's kind of split, right? And me
There's
personally,
more of it. I think there's a majority from where it is.
I don't know. Well, I'm happy with the direction it's going. So I was born and raised in Brampton. 2006, I moved to Alliston. I just moved up here in 2023. With Alliston, the 18 years I was there, I think they built like one school and they put a Burger King in by the time I left. It's nice to see things progressing. I'm happy with the way it is. Example like this weekend with this Home Fest and stuff. It's great having things like that come into this community. The organizers are going to be making tons of money off it. They're probably going to pay you guys a small permit fee. But where do the people go? They go to Collingwood, they go to Barrie, because there's nowhere for them to stay up here. And then secondly, you're crawling through the mud. Do you want to go out for a nice dinner Like, you know, hey, let's go for a nice dinner. No, you want to go to the hotel, you want to shower, you want to change, and you decide to go for dinner. Where do they go? They go to Collingwood, they go to Barrie. You look at Collingwood, Collingwood's done, I think, a fabulous job. Like, they have the winter locked down. Summer, they've done great transitioning into, like, you know, biking, spas, everything else. Brian, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, I would love to see it, something like a Great Wolf Lodge built here that does, because it's hard for, in the winter here, you know, for a nice restaurant to build where they have 3 months of, we're not Myrtle Beach, we're not Sarasota, where they have 3 months of boom and then 9 months of ghost town. It's very hard to survive as a business. So I would like to see things like a Great Wolf Lodge where we do have tourism throughout the winter, and that would be a suggestion of mine. And it'd be nice to hear people come up, because you guys are always asking, oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Social media sounds awfully loud all the time, but in these places it seems awfully quiet. So what are the suggestions? What do you guys want to see? Like, let's hear it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that forum will be available through the public consultation process, but I'll turn it to Andrew.
Yeah, and thank you for that. You're absolutely right. That's the goal here, to build a dependable destination year-round. You don't need to come up tonight and fire all your ideas. We will set up multiple workshops. There will be plenty of opportunity to have all of your ideas heard, but we'll structure that as inputs to the creation of our plan.
I just, before we go on to the next individual, I just want to make something very clear. At no time did I say we were getting a Great Wolf Lodge. So I don't want to see social media tomorrow, although I know I will. Mayor says Great Wolf Lodge is coming to Wasaga Beach. That is not what I said. I said we'd like to have the ability to attract something like a Great Wolf Lodge. And so I think it's imperative we clarify that. And I thank you for those comments. And, you know, I've had a few people say to me, you know, why are you starting this now? The time's not right. Why do you wait till September to start Beach Drive? And the answer to that's quite simple. We could have started in September, but then we'd be 3 summers as opposed to 2 summers. I mean, time marches on. Whether we do it this summer or another summer at the end, we're going to be tied down for 2 summers. And so the time is now, the province is here now, the dollars are here now, and it's time to happen. And when is the right time? The right time to do this, ladies and gentlemen, was 25 years ago. It was 20 years ago. It was 10 years ago. You know, lots of environmental people in this room. When is the right time to plant a tree? Yesterday. So it's fine for some people to say, you know, this is the wrong time to start. I'm sorry, I vehemently disagree. We're late starting, we're way late starting, and it's time that we move our wonderful, great community forward. And this council is intent on doing that.
I just want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to speak to you. I've been a new resident here in Wasaga Beach for the past 2 years, but I've been coming into here since I was crawling on this beach way back when. I just got a quick question. It's got an A to B to it, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Can we get an update on the old arena, what's happening, and what's happening with Costco? And I'll sit down.
So before Andrew answers, I should have bet money on this, because earlier today we're saying, you know, I think anyone's going to talk about Costco. I said, and I would have been part wrong, it's going to be the first question. Because I can tell you no matter where I go, or how important things are, or how good and bad things may be, Costco question comes up every time. Andrew?
Yeah, in fact, Sandra at the back, we were talking this afternoon, put a Costco sign. No, I'm going to see if somebody has. So I'll start with Costco. Sorry? I'm just shaking things up a bit, starting with B. Costco is in, they've got their 3rd submission for site plan in. I think we're pretty much there in terms of issues related to the development, so I think you'll likely see approvals fairly soon. I still don't know when shovels hit the ground. We're hopeful this year. It may be spring, it may be fall. I just don't know. They haven't conveyed that to us. What we do control is when the plans are at a stage where they can be approved. They're very close. I suspect there will be formal approvals, in a matter of a couple of weeks. So hopefully that'll translate to shovels hitting the ground fairly quickly. The other question you asked was the old arena. There is activity on the old arena. We have been asked not to disclose just yet what that is. I will share with you it involves the province. So we are talking with the province. We are pursuing a use with them. I'm hopeful that that will be able to be made public fairly soon, but things are progressing nicely, and I think you'll all, once you hear what it is, will be quite pleased. So that's in the works. Hopefully we'll be able to share that shortly.
Thank you. Question here.
Hey again. So I pulled up my Google Maps because I freely admit, newbie, don't know my geography so great. I just know where I park my car. And what I also know is that I no longer have access to the beach near my house. And so I have a property between Eastdale and Archer Road. And I used to be able to use these paths to go down to the public beach. I got shooed away. And of course, I'm a geek and I like researching things, so then I contacted the archives and got the historical records and saw that that land had been gifted a long time ago to the public. And I'm not clear, and this is what I need your help on, is that section of beach part of the part that was on that map? And what's the plan specifically for that area? Because that area is largely like, where you put the parking stuff, largely residential, largely quiet. And that bit further, I can't really imagine that those paths that went down to the provincial beach one, that section is really, with all these people's places back on the beach, you're really gonna put up a Ferris wheel in someone's backyard? Like, that would be obnoxious. What's the plan?
So there's actually going to be another meeting.
Oh.
So I'm looking at scheduling another meeting 2 to 3 weeks out. It'll be heavily advertised on our social media platform. We do have legal counsel attending that can really provide that history for everybody. Okay. So look forward to that meeting. It'll either be here or the Recplex, that hasn't been determined. Okay. And I encourage everybody, so we did a mass mailing to beachfront owners about the Comprehensive Beach Access Project probably about a year ago, and I asked everybody to subscribe to the Engage Wasaga page. And out of 6,000, I think I had about 50 people registered.
I might have closed on my property after that one.
No, that's okay. So visit our Engage Wasaga page, and all the information, the meeting details will be there, and social media will also advertise, and that's going to be everything with regards to what you just asked.
Slight follow-up question. Is that like I'm telling you what's happening, or is that I'm involving people, we're still taking input?
It's an informational meeting.
Okay.
So stay tuned for more details. Thank you.
And sorry, can you repeat the
Engage Wasaga. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. Sir,
Hey folks, good to see you again. Rich Halliday, Senior Production Technician for Drayton Entertainment and Kings Wharf Theatre. I think I emailed Andrew about the possibility of meeting with your architects, because of course in Backstage Murmurs, people say, build it and we will come with Drayton as well as various major production companies. So the question is, can we meet with the architects to nudge the possibility of an exterior entrance to the theater where they can build a marquee so you can indeed engage major shows instead of just local high school productions? Because both Drayton and, major production companies said they'd come and they want to build you the big name. So the mandate was, can't enter to a high school at $150 a ticket with banana and peanut butter sandwiches and smells in the lockers getting to their theater seats. They would love you to, I'm just a messenger backstage there, and they would love you to be able to talk to the architects about getting an exterior entrance to the theater where they can marquee.
My mic's on, yes. So that's conversation's been happening. Actually, Alex Mustakis has been involved in the process, educating us, helping us, giving us guidance and input. We recognize with the theater, we don't have that expertise in-house, so we reached out to people like Alex, and he's the CEO, I think, of Drayton Theatre, so Kings Wharf Theatre is not the ones across the province. So we're getting some good input and good advice.
He's my boss, and it's him and David Conley, our new artistic director, that have asked me to be the messenger. But I'm glad to see that it's already moved that forward fast.
Yeah, when he looked at the stage for us, said, you don't have an exit stage left, so he's got an eye for detail, and really appreciated it. It really helped us.
Yep, if you build it, they will come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, your next question?
And succinct. I'm just wondering if Beck Square, the little parkette that's behind the liquor store, I stumbled upon that quite by accident because I'm always intrigued with massive trees. There's 3 old maple trees, I think are about 200 years old. And I notice right now they're standing behind where the first stage of the development is. Is that going to be preserved? Those 3 trees and Beck Square, that little memorial.
Throw this one to me, Andrew. Thanks a lot. I know the trees you're talking about. I watched those trees grow, or they watched me grow, one or the other. And Beck Square is a very important part of our community. As you know, our very first reef of our community was Mr. Beck, and a big part of this municipality. As we work through those lands still with the developer and also working, the developer is working or attempting to work, I believe, with Brewers Retail and the LCBO. We'll get more information on that, but we know how important that Beck Square is to our community. And as you can see from the history that Stonebridge has placed on the hoarding, he clearly understands the importance of that history as well here. And so I'm confident something will be done there. I'm not sure what exactly at this point. I don't think any of us are, but it's something we're looking at and we're talking about.
Frank, triple booked today, and one of the people I was booked with wanted me to ask a question. I think I know the answer, Andrew, but I'm going to ask anyway. The point, the park, what's the limitation of any building on that land that belongs for now to the province?
Again, part of the exercise will be determining limits of new development. The point specifically, part of that is actually called an area of natural significance. So there is actually a protected area that's actually in our plans, in our official plans. So that's likely to be a no-go zone. So I would anticipate the area we're looking at is probably the parking lot area. Again, we're going to try and preserve dunes and natural areas as much as possible. But again, that's what this process is all about, and we'll figure that out together.
Well, good. You won't be angry with me then because I gave him an answer. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully that was the right answer.
Hello. I have a simple question, and sorry, a little nervous. Why don't we have lifeguards? I've gone to beaches all over the place, and I see people doing such stupid things out there on all the beaches. Why don't we have lifeguards? I watch our Wasaga page, and they show pictures of the old days when all the lifeguards were there. It looked like they were having fun. I have relatives who are lifeguards. I mean, we need them. Why don't we have them?
It's an excellent question, and for many, many years, Wasaga Beach had lifeguards. As a matter of fact, if any of you know where Santa Fe Cottages is, take a look out in the backyard there. I'm sure Art and Brenda would be more than happy because they're quite proud of it to show you all of the artifacts that they have at Wasaga Beach. One of the lifeguard stands is in his backyard. And I can tell you in 2014, I advocated to bring lifeguards back to Wasaga Beach. Unfortunately, Council today did not see fit to do that because we had approached and came to an agreement with the province that we would manage part of Beach Area 1 and Beach Area 2, which we did for 3 years. But Council at that time was not prepared to support lifeguards in that section. Why is there not lifeguards in Wasaga Beach in general? Is because it's a provincial park and that land is owned by the province of Ontario. And the province of Ontario has not found the need or the desire to have lifeguards on our beach. That question comes up every single year. Every single year, or almost every single year, we lose a life or two in Wasaga Beach. Many of them are in the mouth of the Nottawasaga River where it's signed and people shouldn't be, but there are also tragedies that happen in our main beach area. And so this is another thing that we will have to be looking at in the areas that we'll control as we go through this planning process. And one of the things that I'll be recommending as mayor to council is that we really look at least the areas where we control that we consider having lifeguards again. As a matter of fact, when we created the Main Street Market, the little trailers, several years ago, we also had the fellow who created those for us, Gary Sawatsky, who was the developer and part owner of Skull Island. He actually had modeled for us some lifeguard stands that were similar to what you'd see on Baywatch, or I don't know how many people here even remember Baywatch, but because we thought that, you know, what a great thing to have in Wasaga Beach. Unfortunately, that didn't come to be. So it's something we need to look at. It's an excellent point. I strongly believe that you know, if we only save one life, it's a small price to pay, and I support that 100%. But that will be entirely up to council today when that decision needs to be made. But glad you brought it up because when I mention it to council in this planning process, they'll be able to remember that you brought it up, not me.
Hello, my name's Debbie, and I've lived in Wasaga Beach full time for 4 years now. And in the last 2 years with the new council, I've seen a lot of fantastic changes, and I congratulate you on all your achievements. Now, this question is for Andrew. Andrew, do you know what the budget is, or was, the 2024 provincial budget for maintenance and enforcement in capital projects for Beach 1, New Wasaga Beach, and Allenwood Beach? And the reason I'm asking this is because I think that we should know what that budget is before deciding to take over those lands. Because I, as a taxpayer, I don't want to see an increase in my property taxes. Half of all the people that live in Wasaga right now are senior citizens on fixed income. We cannot afford to pay any more money. And yes, I'm in full agreement of improving, you know, washrooms and boardwalks. But maybe a better route would be to allow, to get the province to give us more money, or to put more, for the province to put more money into Wasaga Beach, instead of us taking on this enormous responsibility.
So, let me start by saying, I think the province recognizes the best people to chart a course for your future are all of you and the municipality, because we're closer to it. When the Premier was here, he spoke about the vision of our community, the vision of our council and mayor. He loves what he's hearing, and I think what they're saying is they want to get out of our way and allow it to happen. The finances, how we pay for everything, is all part of the process we're going to be looking at. I showed you the parking as an example, that there's a revenue stream that comes with this transfer. There are over 1,000 parking spots there that will be generating revenue. Whatever their budget is, and we'll be looking into all this. I will say it wasn't enough. That's pretty darn clear, because the place has been run down for 50 years. So you also need to look at macro. What's the value of this land that's being transferred to us? I actually reached out to a local brokerage and asked them to give me ballpark. We're talking in the neighborhood of $80 million that this is the value of this land. And we're not going to develop it all for residential and mixed use. There will be parkland, there will be parking, etc. And we're going to figure out what that plan is. But if we can unlock a fraction of that value, we have an opportunity to set this town up financially for success for generations to come. So this is an amazing opportunity for us. We're going to do it right. As part of the team that we're bringing in, there will be economists on the team, there will be financial advisors, there will be people that will show us, once we figure out what we want to see happen there, how to make it happen, how to leverage financial dollars from the province, how do we unlock value to pay for this so that it's not a drain on the taxpayer. So, and don't forget also, if we do this properly, we're building assessment base back into this community that will pay more. So again, I would encourage you to be part of the process. What you're flagging, I'm not disregarding, because you're right to be raising these questions, and that's one of the things that we're hoping to get out of this plan is the financial, the implementation strategy. We have to do all of that. So it's important we do that, but I'm not afraid to take this on. This is an incredible gift that the province is giving to us. It's now up to us to figure out how to leverage this and turn it into something amazing that's financially sustainable for this community.
Well, I'd just like to comment that there are currently 864 parking spaces at Beach 1, according to the town clerk. So after the development, there will not be any parking spaces there. So how do you intend to raise parking revenue just from Beach 1?
So why would you assume that there would be no parking?
Because I don't see any parking on any of the diagrams.
So again, we haven't drawn, oh, sorry, you're talking Beach 1.
Beach 1.
Sorry. So we've been very clear, Beach 1, we need to build structure at some point. We've already identified a potential location, Spruce Street parking lot. There will be a time when a parking structure needs to be built there. That's the natural evolution of beach towns. We have an idea of how to finance something like that. So that, again, we're not at the stage where we need to pull the trigger on that, but we're going to start planning for it. We're going to start planning to make more efficient use of our land and add value, and that includes parking structures. But again, we're being given Beach Area 1 and Beach Area 2. Again, we need to go out and actually count how many parking spaces are in Beach Area 1 and 2. So that takes the pressure off having to pull the trigger on a parking structure in the short term, because we've got all this parking supply. So again, but you're right to be asking about parking. As part of our plan, there will be a parking strategy that accompanies whatever the vision is, parking strategy, financial strategy, implementation strategy. The one thing I do know is the province is not just going to say, there you go, there's your plan, good luck. They've said to us they will be there to help make it real. So I fully anticipate once we've got our plan and we identify, here's the first thing we want to make happen. If we need provincial help, we've done a pretty darn good job at lobbying the province. I think we're well over $200 million in investments over the last 2 years. So we're not going to be shy about asking for more money. So, but again, your questions are bang on.
Well, I do thank you for your time, and I really do appreciate all the achievements of council. And you too, Andrew. Thank you.
And thank you. And I think it's important. I think it's important to add that the diagrams you see, what it doesn't show, for example, the hotel and the ancillary hotel buildings, there is underground parking below that of about 400 spaces. So although those spaces aren't going to be above ground, there are going to be about 400 spaces below ground. And the other thing to remind people of, when we talk about Beach Area 1 currently, for the town's redevelopment that we're currently working on, we talk about Spruce Street to 3rd Street. In Beach Area 2, we're talking from the town's perspective and the lands we own from 3rd Street to 6th Street. When we talk about what's happening now in our relationship with the province, Beach Area 1 then expands from Spruce Street all the way to the mouth of the Nottawasaga River, which that area alone currently in that area, we counted roughly today, was about 650 parking spaces there. And in Beach Area 2, it's probably very close to that as well, from 6th Street to 12th Street. So there's a lot of parking there, there's a lot of revenue there. The provincial park in Wasaga Beach, I can guarantee you, does not spend as much money in Wasaga Beach in maintaining our beachfront and our parks as they make in revenue currently on the parking in Wasaga Beach. I don't know what they do with it or where it goes or how they use that, but I'll leave that up to the will of the province. It's their money, it's their revenue. So we're quite confident that the revenue that will come in from the parking alone will cover the maintenance that's required. And And, you know, the other thing it's important to point out, the province in this transaction has made it very clear that the only condition will be that the beachfront always remains public. This council knows as well or better than anybody that this beachfront is the heart and lungs of our community, and how vitally important it is that not only each and every one of you, but anyone else who visits this community has open and free access to our beachfront, and you have our word that that is not going to change.
Thank you. And I'm going to stay to my left because this gentleman has been very patient.
Thank you. I think it's amazing what you've been able to do with the province and influencing them on Beach 1 and 2, etc. There's also Beach 3, 4, 5, and 6 that a lot of our residents, you know, enjoy there, and they've just been as ignored as Beach 1 and 2 by the province. So I'm hoping that you can add some influence. I'm optimistic you can add some influence in these bi-weekly meetings you're having to get those beaches improved and get those garbage cans, those drums changed, and get the picnic tables renewed, hopefully.
So that's a great point. And we actually did discuss that in our last working meeting, which was 2 weeks ago. We're actually meeting again tomorrow. What Ministry of Tourism is hoping is that through this relationship, through this planning process, we can open some eyes about best practices. Many of you may not know this, but the 1978 plan was never fully implemented. There's a whole chapter about how to activate those beach areas. There was supposed to be vending. There were supposed to be all kinds of things that never happened. So I think through this opportunity, we can work with and collaborate with all ministries at the province and show how to unlock value and deliver a world-class destination, but more importantly, a world-class place to live for all of you. And I think some of those ideas will infect the thinking at Beach Area 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the goal, and I know there are some folks at the province who are hoping that is part of the process as well.
Am I right?
Yes, I just want the opportunity to clarify one point as somebody who has a relationship with the Ontario Parks as a volunteer. First of all, the revenue that Wasaga Beach Park brings in, I have been told, does not cover the costs of managing Wasaga Beach Park. And in fact, it goes into a provincial pot, but Wasaga Beach Provincial Park gets more back from the province than what they put in. So I have been told this by officials. My question sort of follows up a little bit on Debbie's about the costs. So operating costs, that's one thing. Maybe you will find a great way to, you know, keep the taxpayers from having to carry a burden. But after the deregulation process, according to the proposal, the town then has to purchase the lands. Now, you mentioned $80 million worth of land. Where's the money coming from to purchase this land?
We're not purchasing it for $80 million, I'll tell you that much. So the line that the land will be purchased, my assumption is it's a $2 purchase or a $1 purchase. Quite frankly, we don't know the details of what that means yet. We have been very clear in all our discussions at every level with the province. We have no money to buy this land. So if you're selling it to us, whatever I've got in my wallet, and I don't have much in my wallet, that's about all we can afford to pay.
Just another quick question. Can we get an update what's happening with the school here next door as far as construction and timing, what have you?
Absolutely. I was going to put a slide in on that too, and here you are. Is Trevor? Where's Trevor? There he is. He's like a plumber. We found you. Maybe you could give a quick update on where we're at with the school.
Sure. So about a month ago, the Committee of Adjustment approved the minor variance for the parking and other setbacks required for the school site. We are currently waiting on the school board to provide us the second submission of their site plan application. We've already reviewed the first round. We're waiting for the developer and the school board to come in with their site preparation agreement so they can start doing some of the earthworks. And as of this week, we have yet to receive the building permit application for the school. So basically, we've done everything that we can do to forward the school. Now waiting for the school and the developer to give us the rest of the documents that we can finalize it all up. That's the status.
We have 10 more minutes if anybody has a few more questions. Here we go.
Welcome, sorry, not my meeting, it's your meeting. I'm one of the token seasonal residents. I'm second generation. I hope to pass on the property onto my family as well. And I'm a little disappointed that there aren't more of us here tonight because there's a lot of great information that I'm hearing for the first time. And I'm somewhat disappointed the fact that we're so far, sort of a train has left the station. So I'm wondering, is there a possibility to perhaps have some virtual component to some of these future public meetings?
100% yes. And in fact, during my hiatus from Wasaga Beach from 19 to 23, we actually hit the pandemic and we actually planned 4,000 acres of the city of Brampton, all 100% virtually. It's actually a really good tool to use to engage the community. So we can look at incorporating that in part of the process because I think that could make it a little easier for seasonal residents to be part, particularly after the summer season when you're back in the city. So absolutely, we'll look to incorporate some of that virtual as part of our planning process so that it's not just year-round residents, but also seasonal can have a voice in shaping the future of this key area of Wasaga Beach.
Oh, yes, please.
Hi, you mentioned the provincial funding for the master planning process that's going on. And I think the RFP that's out now is for Beach 1 and 2, correct? So I was just wondering if you were expecting to do, if the master planning for Allenwood, New Wasaga, and the other parts of the beach, that would be something that would happen later, or if it's already begun, or?
So there's really no development potential in Allenwood and New Wasaga. That is really just ensuring we maintain a pristine beach, etc. So the redevelopment opportunity is Beach 1, Beach 2, and the area around that. So the focus of the RFP is really from the mouth of the river to 12th Street. That's the core of the RFP. But again, we're going to have a fuzzy line around the outside. We're not going to be shy. If we've got great ideas that perhaps cascade over into Blueberry Trails or in that area, we're not going to be shy about trying to incorporate great ideas outside that tiny little area. Okay.
Thank you. And we'll take one more question, and then we'll have Mayor Smith leave us with some closing remarks.
This is just a suggestion. I worked for Niagara Parks for a number of years, and also I see it at King's Wharf. You don't have to have your parking at the attraction. You can build your parking away, and you can shuttle the people to and from. So it might be cheaper and easier than trying to accommodate it in a very congested area.
100% agree. Go to any great beach town, you will typically find free shuttles of some sort. Go to Boston Pizza and look on the wall. This community had a people mover back in the 40s and 50s. So all of the great ideas that I expect will emerge, we're already here. We're just trying to learn from the past to recreate the future in a great visionary, bold, but in a modern way. But so this town used to have shuttles and people movers. So we'll get back there.
All right, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out tonight and showing not only your support and your good comments, but your amazing questions. And I'd just like to end with a couple of things, and that is, the next couple of years is going to be some trying times for some folks in Wasaga Beach. You've heard me say before, the two things we all hate in life is change and the way things are. And but what we know is that we've got to change. We have got to move forward. We have to move this community forward in a positive, affordable, and sustainable manner. And we're intent on doing that. But we need your help. We need the positive attitudes, the positive comments that we hear tonight, and the tough questions, but in a respectable way. And as much as I do my very best to stay away from social media, I can tell you that sometimes I get dragged into that pit. We all have our friends who think that whether you like it or not, you need to see it. So at 10 o'clock at night, they send it to you because they know you're going to bed and you'll sleep well. What the sad part for me is that we have such an amazing community. Born and raised here, I absolutely love this community. My heart and soul is in this community. As I look around this room, I see people, friends that I played Tonka toys with at the beach in this community. Usually my kindergarten teacher is here in this room. She's not here tonight, so I want to note. But, we win together. And as I said earlier, we're not always going to agree or like everything that will be decided. But it's council's job. You have given us the extreme responsibility to make the best decisions that we feel is best for this community based on the feedback that we get from the vast majority of our citizens. And this room tonight, the gentleman asked a show of hands, who's happy with what they see? If you looked at it from this side, it was pretty darn positive. And as your mayor, I am out in this community just as your members of the council are each and every day, talking to people, the phone's ringing, the texts are coming in, the emails, and I can tell you that it's 99% positive. And so if we want to attract people to Wasaga Beach, not just tourism, but people to come here, good folks to come here like we've seen many tonight, who have come here in the last year or two, to call this wonderful community their home, then I think we all have a responsibility to uplift our community, to rise above all of the discord, to be able to agree to disagree on things without disliking each other for it. And I can tell you that I could not be more proud of the job that this council has done to this point. I am blessed to have a great council as your mayor, and we are blessed as a council to have an amazing staff. And not just here at the leadership level, but at every level, right down to the folks who are cutting the grass, who are sweeping the streets, who are picking up garbage, who are looking after bylaw issues. And we're not perfect. And I've said it many times, the one thing I can guarantee you tonight is we'll make mistakes. But we'll own up to them, and we'll correct it. And together we can work to make this community the absolute best place in the world, as I believe it is today, to live, work, to learn, and play. So thank you for your time. Make sure you share this information with your friends, with your family. Encourage other residents and people you know who may be part-time residents to get more involved, to reach out to the town. And when you read things and hear things, whether it be on social media, whether it be at simcoe.com, because I can tell you the media doesn't always get it right either. If there's a doubt, if you have a question, reach out to the town of Wasaga Beach. I'll end with this once again. You may not like what we're telling you, but you have my word and this council's word and these people that work every day to make your life the best it can be. It's going to be the truth. Thank you so much, folks. Have a great night.